Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Alliance Bernstein. Since 2019, employees have impacted our community by giving more than 5,000 hours of volunteerism in Middle Tennessee. AllianceBernstein.com. Alliance Bernstein is not affiliated with National Public Radio.
I'm Khalil Ekalona, and this is Nashville. You've heard the saying many times. Nashville is the it city. For years, people from all over have visited for the vibrant live music scene, the friendly Southern culture, and, of course, to get a taste of our signature hot chicken. It's a local specialty that has spread like wildfire across the world. Nashville-style hot chicken is offered in restaurants in New York City, Detroit, even Australia. And KFC even started offering so-called Nashville hot chicken back in 2016. But this staple dish is more than a meal. In honor of the annual Music City Hot Chicken Festival today, we're bringing you a rebroadcast of an episode all about hot chicken that we first aired last summer. We'll dig into the story Nashville hot chicken tells about gentrification and race in our city and meet the matriarchs of hot chicken themselves. But first, we're going to spend some time talking about the Natchez Trace Bridge. Now, a quick warning. This conversation may be difficult for some listeners as it involves suicide. If you or someone you know is in crisis, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 988. Again, that number is 988. Or text HELLO to the crisis text line at 741-741. Now, last year, when we first aired this episode, the National Park Service had just installed chain-link fencing on the Natchez Trace Bridge. The bridge is something of a tourist attraction. It stands at about 155 feet above Highway 96, and the railing is less than 3 feet high. This fencing is a temporary fix for a pervasive problem. Since 2018, reports show 32 people have died by suicide at the bridge. My next guests have a personal connection to this: Trish, Merelo, and Brianna Brown. Welcome to This Is Nashville, and thank you both for joining us to talk about this sensitive topic.
Thank you, Khalil. And can I just say that being the opener for hot chicken is so Nashville. So thank you.
It is.
For the listeners, just on a humorous note, hot chicken royalty is sitting out in the green room. So this is, I feel among the best here. So this is, again, you run the gamut here. I love it. So, yeah, serious stuff, but you've got to laugh, right? You've got to laugh.
That's right. You do have to laugh. Yep. It's life. Now, Trish, I'd like to start with you. You're the co-founder of the Natchez Trace Bridge Barrier Coalition.
Yes.
I know this is difficult for you, but can you share with us how you got involved in pushing for this change?
Yes, and if I get emotional, Khalil, I will recover. So just start talking. If I stop, go to Brianna.
Well, I'm right here with you. I got you.
Okay. I lost my son, John, in 2016 at the bridge. He was only 17. And at the time, I didn't know a whole lot about suicide and the bridge, but as you experience these things and you read more and you learn more and you talk to people, it became very apparent this is a problem. This bridge is what they call a, quote, suicide magnet. There's something about it that draws people. It's extremely high, as you just mentioned, 155 feet high. It's got this very low railing. It's not even 3 feet, as you said. And it's over a road. It's not over water. It's not over a canyon or grassland or hills. It's over a road. People are driving under there. So in about 2010, there were some groups that tried to do something. The Tennessee Suicide Prevention Network made a big push with the National Park Service to try to do something. I know the Tennessean has written editorials on the subject. They only got as far as, now this is a federal structure as part of a national park. Mm-hmm. So we are up against about as much red tape as you can imagine, right? Yeah. They only got as far as the Park Service agreeing to put up a sign on each end, which is nice. It says, there is hope. It's got the lifeline number. Wonderful, right? That's it. They had mentioned something about call boxes. They never went in. So that was 2010. Fast forward to me coming around, and this is now 2017, 2018, 2019. It just felt nothing was happening. The ball had I think everyone gave it a push. They ran into a lot of resistance, and they went on with their lives. So here you've got this new crop of people. I had some friends in the local press who ran stories on it. I ran into at a function Aaron Elmer Burke, who was my co-founder, and Scott Ridgway at Tennessee Suicide Prevention Network introduced us. He said, "Hey, you want to do something about this? He wants to do something about this. You guys should meet." he had lost his sister there. And that meeting was such a catalyst because you felt all of a sudden you weren't alone. And there is something that families have a passion, families, more so than I think any other institution or entity. So that was kind of the start of things. We formed this coalition. We got real lucky. We spoke out in the right places. We gathered more and more support in Nashville and in government, and I kind of went from there, so...
Brianna, you've also been very involved in advocating for changes at the bridge, and I understand that's for pretty personal reasons, too. Would you mind sharing your story with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2016, can you guys hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. Later in 2016, a couple months after Trish's son, in May of 2016, I attempted suicide. And on each side of the bridge, there is a hill with a lot of trees. And so I was on that side. I had just come home from my junior year of college, and I attempted suicide. I fell over 100 feet and broke about probably the entire upper half of my body, and spent approximately a month at Vanderbilt Hospital, where they put me all back together, and was incredibly lucky with that. I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression in college. I was a music major, which puts you under a lot of stress, and yeah, it was a lot.
Is there anything else you'd like to share about what happened next for you? Like what was going through your mind?
So, okay, I'm trying to think. Sorry. Before my attempt, really just, I felt hopeless. And it's interesting because I never thought about the bridge for suicide, like when you're having suicidal ideation or suicidal thoughts. I never really thought about the bridge. I used to go visit it as like a tourist attraction. You take your friends there from out of town because it's, really beautiful. But never thought about it in that manner. And my memory stops the day before my attempt around lunchtime. And so I don't remember my actual attempt, which I think is it's a huge blessing.
Tell me this. After your experience, tell me, why was it important for you to speak out about suicide and safety at this bridge?
Absolutely. So I am the only person that has survived from this bridge, which has taken a lot of lives. And I'm very fortunate to be here. I'm very, very grateful to be here. So I feel that, there's been, I think the number is currently at 42. I believe it's been 44 lives lost on the bridge. And with being the only person, I feel that I almost have a duty to be the voice for those people. When you're suffering from a mental illness, it's hard to find your voice and to speak out. And the hardest part about a mental illness is speaking out and saying, I need help. So I feel that like I was given the second chance at life, and now I have this opportunity to help others, and to tell my story. I mean, the fact that I'm alive is amazing. And so I feel like I've been given a second chance at life, and now I can help share my story and talk about mental health, and help with some suicide prevention, to help that this isn't going to happen to other people.
I know there's a lot of people who are happy that you're making the most of that opportunity. So
thank you.
Trish, in 2019, the state legislature declared a suicide health crisis at this site, at the bridge.
Yes.
But why is it taking so long for this temporary barrier to go up?
It's so complex. So the bridge is part of the Natchez Trace Parkway, which is a national park. It's a 444-mile national park. So we're dealing with the federal government. The state did that as a show of support, saying, in essence, look, this isn't ours, but we're just saying it's in our state and we don't like it. So, and I loved that they did that for us. I loved that. And I believe it had unanimous support. So it was just another feather in our cap saying, okay, federal government, come on. It's here in Tennessee. Even our state legislature is deeming it a hazard. So let's do something.
Yeah.
And to me, it was such a practical fix. Just put something up, right? It's the easiest suicide method to take off the table. You've got railings that are too low. You just erect higher railings or a higher fence. It should be an easy fix. The bridge, has been deemed exceptional for its design. It's won awards for that segmented concrete design. It's slated to be on the National Historic Register. There's all kinds of stuff on the line for them. So in order to plan and engineer and all this, they had to think about wind and weight and, are we modifying the structure? And what about a certain bat that lives around the bridge? Will it be harmed? And there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. There's right now out for public comment are the 3 possible designs for the permanent. And the temporary isn't up yet. They've just started kind of the prep. I went out there yesterday to see it with my own eyes.
What does it look like? Oh,
well, it's just that they've put the cones down. They've got portable traffic lights for the flagging. So nothing's up yet. It's just the prep down to 1 lane. But I have to tell you, these were the most beautiful traffic cones I've ever seen in my life. I took so many pictures. I never knew I'd love a road work ahead sign so much. Ugh.
But I got to ask you, how does it feel? You would think that the federal government, seeing this act of solidarity from the state by naming it this site, this crisis site, you would think the federal government would kind of fast track. I know they have to take in mind the environmental impact and the aesthetic impact, but why aren't they fast tracking this?
Well, get this. They told me this is fast tracked.
Wow.
Yeah. We're speeding along here.
Okay.
3-4 years.
That's
down the line. They did say in March of 19 was when they finally said, okay, we're going to do something. Give us some time. We've got some ideas, but this will be a process. And look ahead, 2023 or so for the permanent. Now it's looking more like 2024. It's just a lot of work. It's very involved on their end. Plus, you've got a bridge that's very minimalistic. There's not a lot to work with. It's not like the Golden Gate where you've got all kinds of structure. This is just a very sleek design, so it's tough. It's tough.
Now, Brianna, aside from a permanent barrier, what do you want to see the federal and state government do to prevent suicide attempts at the bridge?
I think that they can offer, are the call boxes, Trish, are the call boxes there now?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So we have the call boxes there. We have these other offerings and these deterrents. I think a big thing with suicide prevention and helping with mental health is offering therapy and offering counseling services and behavioral health services to people that are more affordable. A lot of people, I think, or that they would seek these services if they were more affordable sometimes, because a lot of these services aren't covered by insurance. They don't take insurance at all. And it's out of budget for a lot of people. So I think offering more affordable options and making it more reachable for people, I think would really help. I think, getting out and talking about it more, it still is seen as a taboo thing about, if we can talk about suicide or talk about mental health or someone suffering from mental illness, it still is a taboo. And I think, ending that stigma and being able to have an open conversation will help more.
Anything you want to add, Trish?
Just to those who the pushback on this, the natural tendency is folks to say, oh, what's the point? They'll just find another way, right? Mm-hmm. And it's important to know that suicide is often a very impulsive act. And if you can, this is where I'm going to get emotional. If you can buy people time. Brianna, take it away. I recovered.
I'm not there to give you a hug. Otherwise I would. But I'm giving you a hug for the computer.
Thank you. No, I'm going to tell you something. I read a story of a 19-year-old girl. Oh, thank you. Oh, Khalil. See, in person. Isn't it awesome in person? Okay. Read a story of a 19-year-old girl who was about to take her life, but her room was messy. And she thought, I can't let them find me here like this. So she started cleaning her room. And guess what? It bought her time. And things changed, and she weathered that darkness, that storm. That's all we're saying, is we just want to buy people time. That's it.
Yeah. Last question. Brianna, I understand that your family and friends, you guys celebrate what you call a second birthday. Will you tell me more about that?
Yes. So my attempt anniversary is May 13th. And so it really, I look at it as a second chance at life and a second birthday. It, could be the anniversary of my death. And for those 42 other people, it's, that anniversary is the anniversary that they lost their loved one or their best friend or their sibling or spouse. And so I look at it as an opportunity to celebrate being alive and being here. And so we have a big dinner with some family and friends, and we'll do something fun that day. And I'm just, every year I'm very grateful to be alive, and it's a nice reminder. And there's, I have a lot of reminders every day. It's, some days my back hurts and I broke almost my entire back. And so, my back hurts and I'm like, oh, it's, it's a little thing, but it reminds me like, okay, you're here, you have this. I have a tattoo on my C6 vertebrae, which is the one vertebrae that didn't break, that is a white oak leaf and acorn, where it's the trees that are near the bridge. And so I have that, I have all these reminders, so I never forget.
I want to thank you so much for your courage.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming on to the show. That's Brianna Brown, advocate for suicide prevention and bridge safety, along with Trish Merelo, co-founder of the Natchez Trace Bridge Barrier Coalition. Thank you both for sharing your story.
So much for having us here today. It means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, if you or someone you know is in crisis, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 988. Again, that number is 988. Or text HELLO to the crisis text line at 741-741. Thanks for tuning in for this rebroadcast of an episode we first aired June of 2022. Now, after the break, we'll switch gears. It's time for Hot Chicken. In honor of today's Music City Hot Chicken Festival, we're bringing the heat. And just how hot do you like your hot chicken? Mild, medium, or blazing? Tweet us at This Is Nashville. We'll be right back.
Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Khalil Ecolona, and this is Nashville.
You ready?
I'm ready. Showtime.
That's Nashville's own Caroline Randall Williams, and the trailer for her new series on Discovery Plus, Hungry for Answers.
This is not just a food show.
Her first episode is all about hot chicken.
Because I penned that name, Hot Chicken, in 1980.
We have to ask why one person gets to become the ambassador over another.
I didn't know we were getting this deep today, but I'm in.
I'm exploring the intersections of race, food, and culture. Because behind every good food story is a Black story.
My crop brought a higher price when I sold it through my white neighbor than when I sold it on my own.
Does that make you mad? It makes me so mad. And Black American stories are essential ingredients to America's food story.
Nashville's own Caroline Randall Williams is the host of that series, Hungry for Answers, which premiered on Discovery Plus on the day we first aired this episode last June. Caroline, welcome to This Is Nashville.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here with you in cyberspace.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to have you with us. So, for the series, you set out to answer the question, who gets to cook Black food? And the first episode is all about Nashville hot chicken. Let me just start by asking, how do you like your hot chicken?
Oh my God. If I have things to do, I like it mild because the mild still got some kick. Mm-hmm. If I'm in it for the evening, I will have the medium. If I'm feeling really adventurous and I have a bourbon, I will have the hot.
Okay. Okay, I like your bravery right there. So you are a Nashville native. What surprised you as you dove into the history of hot chicken?
Well, I think that what surprised me and brought me a lot of insight and keeps me hungry for answers is really the amount of conversations that still need to be had about it. Because I grew up, going to Prince's. My family, we've eaten there as long as I can remember. So the story of where hot chicken comes from, that's not news to me. I had the privilege of growing up Black in Nashville and eating well all around our city. And I think that what surprised me was this, how unknown the Prince's story is in some ways, how under fortified the positive bridges are between what new Nashvillians think of as hot chicken and what the original story is. So that's what surprised me, is how I took it for granted. I knew Prince's was the OG, in my family's narrative. And I was surprised at how few people know that story still.
Well, how did you approach telling the story of hot chicken in that first episode?
Well, I had I had this amazing team. When you come knocking on people's doors with Viola Davis's name behind you, people tend to say yes. And I like to think of myself as a bridge builder and someone who invites people to tables, to welcome tables, even if the conversations are complicated. So I just asked people to talk with me and told them that I promised I'd tell the truth, which is what I do. And both of the gentlemen I interviewed in the show that's what I want. I want people to be brave enough to come and have a hard conversation, because it's still going to be a good one, and we're going to honor and respect each other on both sides of it. And I feel like both of those guys came to the table to do that, and I was grateful. And then being able to sit down with Miss André and honor her legacy by lifting it up and putting it at the front, that was really powerful for me too.
One of the things you ask in the trailer, which we heard just a few moments ago, is who gets to become the ambassador of a dish? So what's the answer to that?
Well, so who gets to or who should? I think, who gets to is who has the most traditional forms of capital socially and financially, and who should are the people whose ideas and blood and sweat and tears and story is being told through the food or through the art or through the sound. We have this question in all sorts of elements of Black culture. It's that line between appropriation and appreciation that America really struggles with that dance, I think.
Also with us today is Rachel Louise Martin, author of Hot Chicken, A Nashville Story, a book about the history of hot chicken. Rachel, welcome to This is Nashville. Hi,
I'm so excited to be here today, and I'm in awe of the panel I'm on. This is quite the lineup.
As we have a lineup for us. Okay, so first things first, yes. What's your hot chicken order?
Oh, I am a wimp. I grew up in a family where my grandma left the house if my mom started cooking with garlic, because that was too spicy and it stunk up the house.
Okay.
So I do mild, and I grit my teeth.
Okay.
And yeah, that's shameful to admit in Nashville, but here I am.
There's no shame in that game. So like Caroline, you're a Nashville native as well.
I'm from the area, yes.
So did you grow up eating hot chicken?
No, I didn't discover hot chicken existed until about 2013 when I came back. I had been away for graduate school and work, and I came home and everybody was talking about this Nashville food, and 10,000, 15,000 people were coming to a festival dedicated to it. I had no idea what it was. Your listeners have probably figured this out. I am white.
Well, from what I've learned, there were plenty of white people eating chicken back in the day. They just did it in the back of the restaurant, but I'm going to ask our other panelists about that.
Yes, you need stories about that one.
A little bit later. Now, so as your interest started growing about hot chicken and you started to dig in, what did you find?
I discovered that the history of hot chicken here in Nashville really mirrored the history of race and urban development in the city. That it wasn't an accident that somebody who looked like me, who came from a family that had been in Nashville for 3 generations, could be in my early 30s before I knew anything about what hot chicken was or its significance within the city that I claimed as home.
So what does that tell you about Nashville's priorities?
Well, for one thing, it tells me we are still extremely segregated, and that is something we have failed to address as a community. It also tells me that throughout time and throughout our history, we have repeatedly made choices about who was going to have power, who was going to have prominence, who was going to have a voice, who would have recognition, who would be included in our neighborhood plans, who would be considered when it came time to rebuild a neighborhood. It told me that as a city, gentrification is just the newest form of something we have been undertaking since our very founding. And it's about time for us to fix it.
Caroline, how does that resonate with you?
I mean, as the granddaughter of Avon Williams Jr., who spent a huge chunk of his career in Nashville, he was the first Black state senator elected to the Tennessee State Senate after Reconstruction, the end of the 60s, and he spent a lot of time fighting the injustices of urban development and the harm it wrought on Black Nashville. So it's music to my ears to hear that truth being told, because I come from a family that's been fighting to fix it for a long time.
Now, Rachel, your focus is on the convergence of Nashville's rise of being the it city, hot chicken's popularity explosion, and gentrification, as you just mentioned. So elaborate more. Like, what are your thoughts on this spread of the hot chicken phenomenon, yet the history being ignored or forgotten in many cases?
I think I don't think it's an accident that hot chicken is suddenly so popular, just as Nashville is becoming an it city and we've got a bunch of new people moving here. When you move to a new town, you want to fit in. You want to find a way to say, I am part of the community and I know the history. And when my friends come to visit, I can show them where to go. Mm-hmm. You want to have something you can post on social media showing how tough you are and you can eat hot chicken that I can't handle. And you can. So those sorts of identity markers are really important for newcomers to a community and to a city. And so the rise of hot chicken's popularity, along with an emphasis on spicy food in general in the early 21st century, the convergence and the timing was perfect. At the same time, because of Nashville's choices that we have made in terms of who belongs where, what businesses are given access to business loans, what businesses are put on certain street corners, because of those sorts of choices that we have made, some restaurants were better poised than others to profit and capitalize on what was happening. And the restaurants that were better poised were, for the most part, white restaurants. And the matriarchs of hot chicken, who have been keeping this food alive for generations, were on the outskirts of the city and in neighborhoods where tourists and visitors and newcomers don't go.
Now, Caroline, just watching that trailer, I feel like this series is very personal for you. What did it mean to you working on the episode about hot chicken and its legacy?
Well, I'm just, grateful to everyone who thought that it was a good idea to let me start at home. Because, I think that for so many people, foodways start at home and in their own kitchens. And for me, it was in my own hometown. I got to start telling this story. And, you can't, when we first started kicking around ideas about what food to talk about first or what question to ask first for Hungry for Answers. And I was like, well, we can't start with fried chicken, because it feels like the most obvious place to start when you're sort of trying to explode, examine, bring to the table, literally and figuratively, questions about Black food, Southern food, complicated political food in America. And then I was like, wait, who am I kidding? Like, I'm me. Like, we've got to start with the most obvious, but also the most complicated theme. And I'm from Nashville, so we're not just talking about hot fried chicken. We're going to talk about hot chicken. And I think that it was just sort of like a miracle of intersections and of people that said yes to a good, right thing. It means everything to me is the short answer.
How is preserving or even establishing that story of hot chicken vital to the culture here in Nashville?
A cliche comes to mind that if you don't know, you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been, right? And I think that this whole idea Nashville and hot chicken as a part of newcomer Nashville identity, as y'all have been so thoughtfully discussing. What does that identity even mean if we don't know what the origins of the dish? I think that it's essential to the story, because otherwise we're building a Nashville identity on nothing. You have to build it on a foundation. And the foundation starts, in Black Nashville, in North Nashville. I used to go to Bolton's. I got my hot fish at Bolton's, my hot chicken at Prince's, but like that's where the food starts. And if you have to have your foundation, that's it.
That is Caroline Randall Williams. You can check out her series, Hungry for Answers, on Discovery Plus. She was joined by Rachel Louise Martin, author of Hot Hot Chicken, a Nashville story. It was really great to talk with you both. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for this opportunity.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for tuning in for this rebroadcast. After the break, we'll take a quick trip out to the kitchen at Bolton's Spicy Chicken and Fish. What's the Bolton secret? Maybe, if you stay tuned, you'll find out. Chime in by tweeting us at This Is Nashville. We'll be right back. I'm Khalil Ecolona, and this is Nashville. Some of the mystique around hot chicken is that each place has their own secret recipe for their dry rub. And depending on how much coating is on the chicken, it can be so hot that there are rules for eating it.
The sign says, eat at your own risk. Do not touch your eyes. Wash your hands before you potty. And generally, if the child is up under 12, I ask permission with the parent, because a lot of kids, they just can't tolerate it. And even though they say, well, my kids eat spicy food at home, baby, it's not like this.
That is Dollye Matthews, general manager of Bolton's Spicy Chicken and Fish. She gave producer Paige Flager a behind-the-scenes look at how the magic is made.
We are in the kitchen of Bolton's hot, famous chicken. You got wings? Let's do wings. That's a popular item. He has now gotten the chicken wings out of the cooler, and he's dreading it in the flour. The grease, the oil, very hot, 350 degrees, hot oil. Probably approximately takes 7 minutes. They coming up about, they should be up. Now, how you gonna tell which one is hot? It's gonna have the most spice. It's gonna be redder than the rest, okay? So we're gonna make this one hot. You know, we try not to get it too hot where it make you lose your composure, but everybody got a different tolerance level. So if your tolerance level is light, you're in trouble. The dry rub is a spicy dry rub, consisted of different spices, which is a secret, which I can't say. If I told you, it wouldn't be a secret. Love, peace, joy, and happiness is our secret up in here. Everything we do, we try to do it with joy, love, peace, and happiness. And it does make the food taste a difference when it's done out of love.
If that ain't the truth, I don't know what is. It's an honor to welcome my next guests to the show, hot chicken royalty, y'all. Miss André Prince, owner of Prince's Hot Chicken Shack, and Miss Dollye Matthews, general manager of Bolton's. It is a pleasure to have you both on the show. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Pleasure being here.
Now, Miss André, let me start with you. How did hot chicken come to be? Is the myth we all heard, is that true?
We don't know. We weren't there. We can only speculate because back then they didn't keep records. Mm-hmm. They just started doing things. And I've always given it the tribute out to the woman who was more than likely mad, angry, because her man had been out all night. This chicken started out of an emotion. Mm-hmm. an extreme emotion. Of course, it could have been much worse. But it started with the man's stomach. He's going to eat. Man is going to eat, as my mother always said.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best place to start as far as revenge is concerned. This is a revenge chicken.
Okay.
And I give the shout out to the woman who more than likely started it toward my great uncle Thornton Prince, who was tall, handsome, very jovial, very jolly. He was a people person.
Would you say he was a ladies' man as well?
Of course. Mm-hmm. That runs in the Prince family.
Okay.
I know that for a fact. My father was also.
I like what you said about this phenomenon that spread across the world was started with an emotion.
True.
A hot, angry emotion.
Well, when my great uncle liked his revenge from this lady that we don't know who it was. My great uncle was married 5 times. We don't know whether it was just his lady friend or his wife. We don't know. This chicken has been in my family almost 90 years. When it started, more than likely, everybody had main jobs, and it was used to supplement the income. So it wasn't, it was mostly on the weekends when they would be off from work, and that's where the 4 a.m. started. We were open to 4 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. So more than likely it was sold out of the house at first.
Mm-hmm.
But my great uncle more than likely wanted to share it with his friends because it kind of got his attention. Wow.
Yeah.
It wasn't boring.
Yeah.
It is a conversation piece.
Mm-hmm.
So he shared it. And the word got around. They didn't advertise on radio. No TV, surely. But the word got around regardless. And here we are today.
That's right.
Still talking about it.
That's right.
When I took over in 1980, August of 1980, I decided to rename it for the family.
Tell me about the legacy of Bolton's Hot Chicken. How did that get started?
The legacy of Bolton's Hot Chicken started with my husband's uncle, which was Bolton Polk. As I understood, I was told that back in the day, he shared the kitchen with others that had a hot chicken recipe. So he stopped because due to his illness, and before he died, he shared the hot chicken recipe with my husband that he had, which was a dry rub. As you all know, Nashville's full of hot chicken, and everybody got their own recipe. Some of it's wet, some of it's moist, some of it's dry rub. We use strictly dry rub. So with that, we were able to do fish too, because you can put the dry rub on anything. We can make you some spicy hot corn on the cob.
Okay.
But whatever you would like hot, but we specialize in chicken and fish.
Okay, now these restaurants and these recipes have been in your families for generations. Miss André, tell me, what was it like growing up and knowing that your family had this dish that defined the city?
Growing up, we took it for granted because it was always there. But I might add, as far as Bolton Polk was concerned, when my great uncle Thornton died, his brother, Will Prince, took over. When Will Prince died, his wife, Maud, took over. As far as my understanding, Maud was kin to Bolton Polk. And he worked for the Chicken Shack. He worked for what was formerly called Barbecue Chicken Shack. So he worked in the family business. When Mayor Purcell did a study on hot chicken when he was over the Kennedy Center at Harvard in Boston, Massachusetts, Cambridge, Massachusetts, he discovered through his research that we were the first to cook and sell spicy chicken on a commercial basis in the country. And that's how it became so popular when he relayed that to the public. People came out from all over the country and all over to the world to see about us. And that's how it became so popular. We were the secret of Nashville for a very, very long time.
Now, you know, Nashville has changed a lot over all these years.
Indeed.
Bolton's was sold for a value of over $1 million. Miss Dollye, what types of difficulties have you all had as this business is going along and this city is changing?
The property was sold for over $1 million, in which I was very disturbed because we weren't offered the first chance opportunity to buy or deny. We've been there 20-something years, and we had asked the owner for us to have first right so it could stay where it was. And I think us being a minority, being there that long, we should have had an opportunity to purchase the property.
Were you the longest tenants there in that entire property?
I'm not for sure, but consecutively, we were there for 20-something years. During those 20-something years, when we got it, it was vacant. And my husband and I caulked the walls to the ceiling and the walls to the floor and had it passed by codes and did the plumbing, everything. It was really doomed to be torn down. But we made it what it was. And, you know, from that, we started having TV episode opportunities. We were recognized by New York Times, and Anthony Bourdain sat in our kitchen and ate hot chicken when he was alive.
How did he handle it?
Oh, he told me to back it up for the camera. He had the hot. He asked for the hot. He thought he could handle the hot. He said, well, I can't go on the camera toe down like this.
Okay.
So I backed it down for him, and he just said it was the hottest stuff he had since he was in China. But we've had numerous opportunities like Food Paradise and Taylor Swift video and stuff, and it's all fun and stuff like that. But, you know, getting to the culture of the hot chicken, to me, it's just as many white people eat hot chicken as it do black. I could really say in the earlier days, our clientele was 70% white and 30% black. Of course, Princess had most of the black clientele, which, you know, they swear up and down, you know, a lot of them still don't even know about us now. But, you know, I guess it was due to different exposure. I don't know. And they were there first. They was established in their vicinity for, I guess, over 10 years before we started in 1998.
Now, Miss André, you took over operations in 1980.
I took over in August of 1980. I renamed it for the Prince family, the family that started it. I wanted them to have that recognition. And growing up, eating the spicy chicken on early Sunday mornings, I remember it being hot. I pegged the name Hot Chicken in 1980. Family name, Prince, as I remember it growing up, Hot Chicken. And that's why I named it Hot Chicken. I wanted my family to have that recognition. I wanted the little mom and pop place to stay in the family. We were always in the neighborhood. We were a staple in the neighborhood. And it was, like I had said earlier, it was open late to 4 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And I might add, there are more, and always has been, more white people that have eaten it and are eating it now. And there's always been more white people. As my mother had said, if you have what people want, they're going to find a way to get there, regardless. We were in the ghetto, but white people would always find a way to get there.
You know, now we have national chains like Kentucky Fried Chicken. They offer a, air quotes here, Nashville hot chicken option. And people love the food, but they don't know how it started and what drove this huge piece of our culture here. Miss André, you know, what do you want people to know about hot chicken and its importance to Nashville?
I want people to know that more women eat it hot than men.
Okay.
Men will try it, but women stay with it.
That's
And they long for it. They thirst for it. And now I see, since I've been in the business over 40, almost 42 years, more children are eating it.
Wow.
The youngest I've seen was Aiden, who's 2 now. Aiden, his mother says he doesn't like plain chicken. He has to have a little spice on it. And he struts in there. Aiden is now 7 years old. And he struts in there at least twice a week to get his spicy chicken. I don't recommend children eat it any more than mild. Our mild is the regular barbecue chicken. Well, the chicken was never barbecued, for one thing. I didn't understand why my great uncle named it barbecue chicken shack. But our mild is what my great uncle sold. Which is now.
Same question to you, Miss Dollye. What do you want people to know about hot chicken and its importance?
My opinion of hot chicken is royalty. It's nothing like it. Can't be duplicated. Not the real hot chicken. And is universal. I enjoy the variety of hot chicken because it keeps it from getting boredom to people. Like hamburgers, no hamburger tastes the same. You got 5 different chains. Okay, so hot chicken, it doesn't all have to taste the same, but it can all be good. I don't like the competitiveness. I don't like the negativity when the new ones come on board. They want to down the matriarchs and this, that, and other. No, just take your slice and do the best you can with it and run with it. I'm happy for you.
All hail the queens of hot chicken. I want to thank you both for being here. Real quick, 2 questions for you. How do you like your hot chicken, Miss Dollye?
Light mild.
Miss André?
Mild.
Mild. Okay. And another question, and this is totally selfish. Did you happen to bring any chicken with you today?
Certainly not.
Oh.
You'd have grease all over the place.
Well, I don't mind that at all.
Slipping and sliding.
I want to thank you both for being with us. Miss André Prince, owner of Prince's Hot Chicken, and Miss Dollye Matthews, general manager of Bolton's Hot Chicken and Fish. Thank you. It has been a pleasure. I feel like I'm really a part of Nashville now. Thanks for tuning in for this rebroadcast. This is Nashville is a production of WPLN News and Nashville Public Radio. Today's episode was produced by Paige Flager. Our senior producer is Steve Harush. Our digital lead is Anna Gallegos-Cannon. Michaela Elias is our technical director. Our executive producer is Andrea Tudhope. The masterminds behind our theme music are LaRange and Namir Blade. Listen back at thisisnashville.org or wherever you get your podcasts. This is Nashville. I'm Khalil A. Colonna. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. And be good to each other.